So the Packers just lost a close one to the New York Giants. The 5-8 New York Giants coming off back-to-back wins. Packers beating the Lions, beating the Chiefs. Two very good teams. We lose to the Giants. Still taking this in. The game just ended. The Packers actually got a little bit of life there at the end. Beautiful pass to Malik Heath, who makes a beautiful touchdown grab to put the Packers up 1. And then the defense goes out there, and you allowed Tommy DeVito to move the ball down the field and get them in field goal range. It was just an all-around bad performance by the Packers, and we were very lucky at the end there that we actually had a chance to win. The fact that Saquon fell, somehow fumbled the ball, Carrington Valentine picks it up. The Packers were lucky to be in that situation, and to see it end this way, I was hoping he'd shank the field goal. The Packers would somehow escape this game, even though they played terribly with a win, and yet that just wasn't in the cards for the Packers tonight. And so, this game, all around, it was just ugly football. Not only the Packers, the Giants, there was also lots of ugly football. But this looked like a completely different team than we saw the past 2 weeks against the Lions, against the Chiefs. Jordan Love came out the gate playing very poorly. His accuracy was off. He just didn't look comfortable. Didn't look like he did the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks, he was in complete control of the game. He was in control there at the line of scrimmage, making beautiful reads, throwing pinpoint accurate passes. And tonight, he had so many just off-target throws where they should have been easy completions, and he just completely misses. And so I don't know what happened here tonight, because how do you go from what we saw last week, where you really look like one of the best offenses in the NFL, to what we saw this week? This reminds me of the Packers offense during that stretch, earlier in the season, where it just looked like straight up ugly football. This was the same team we saw early in the season, and you would have wished that at this point in December, when there's potentially a chance to get a playoff spot, you would hope that, that this team of the past, the way the Packers used to play, would not come back and rear its ugly head. And yet that is exactly what happened. And the offense just couldn't get anything going. If you look at Jordan Love's day, 25 of 39, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a 76.7 rating, was sacked 2 times. And yeah, as I said already, it just wasn't Jordan Love's day. I don't know what happened tonight, but he was not in control. He was off from the moment the game started. And I don't know if it's that the Packers came to this game with a different kind of energy or a different kind of mindset heading into this game, because against the Lions and Chiefs, the Packers were underdogs. I think most people did not really expect them to win those games, and I think that this team that's very young likes to come into game situations like that and sort of prove people wrong. And I was wondering before this game, in a situation where the Packers were favorites, and I think a game where most people said, when you look at the Lions and Chiefs game, the Packers should beat this, Giants team that has struggled to play good football all season long, and yet the Packers come in as favorites and just put up a complete dud. Can't really do anything right this game. So hopefully the Packers can learn from this, but it was just a poor performance all around. If you look at the Packers running game, 25 carries, 123 yards, 4.9 yards a carry. Jaden Reed had 4 carries, 38 yards, 9.5 yards a carry. A.J. Dillon, 15 carries, 53 yards, 3.5 yards a carry. Besides, if you take out Jaden Reed's runs, A.J. Dillon had a few nice plays, but the Packers weren't super productive on the ground. And in this game as well, Dontavian Wicks goes down with an injury, wasn't able to return. And then the leading receiver was Tucker Kraft with 4 receptions for 64 yards. So the Packers also turned the ball over multiple times. If we take a look at the turnovers for both teams, Packers had 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles lost. One of those was by Jordan Love, 1 interception, which was really bad. The Giants almost had another interception, but it was dropped by the Giants. And the Giants had a total of 2 turnovers. So when you lose a turnover battle, it's hard to win games. The Packers were still somehow in this near the end, even though they played ugly football all day long. And the Packers defense, if you look at the box score, you look at the rushing yards allowed, the Packers rushing defense has been one of the worst in the NFL. And in today's game, I think the biggest key was to stop Saquon Barkley. For a majority of the day, Saquon Barkley didn't really have too much going for him. He did have 2 touchdowns. He ended the day with 20 carries, 86 yards, 4.3 yards a carry. But for majority of the day, it wasn't Barkley really beating this Packers defense. He had a few nice runs. He had a long run there at the end, which ended in a fumble, which almost allowed the Packers to somehow win this game. But the thing that really shocked me was just the ability of Tommy DeVito to run the ball. It felt like, I mean, he ran the ball 10 carries, 71 yards, and every single time, the way it looked was he gets back there in the pocket, the Packers crash in on the outside, and there's just like an open running lane down the middle, and I'm not sure why that wasn't corrected, midpoint through the game, like maybe keep someone back there not to allow him to have such a crazy wide open hole. And I know Tommy DeVito, he's a very mobile quarterback, a guy who can move around. And this is one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. So I expected coming to this game, the Packers would be able to feast back there in the backfield, would be able to bring consistent pressure and, sack Tommy DeVito a good amount of times. But I don't even know if the Packers did they have any sacks in this game? 0 sacks. The Packers didn't get Tommy DeVito a single time, which I think, I think shows Tommy DeVito and his mobility, his ability to escape the pocket. If it wasn't for that, the Giants probably wouldn't have been able to do what they did. And so we have another game here where the Packers defense, they allowed more points here than they did against the Chiefs last week, which is shocking by a offense led by Tommy DeVito when you compare that to Patrick Mahomes. And this run defense continues to struggle. It just stinks to have a defense that has been really good when you look at points allowed per game, but still yet struggle to stop the run. Another 200-yard game here allowed by this Packers run defense. And, you would have hoped there at the end of the game that the Packers defense could have come in there and gotten a stop, allowed the Packers to win this game, not allowed the Giants to get into field goal position. And part of me was wondering, why are we playing so far off to start that drive? I would have liked to see a little bit more aggressive play than sort of just give the Giants some free yards. On the one play that really got them into field goal range, field goal range, I think it was to Wan'Dale Robinson. Keyshawn Nixon, I believe, was playing man on him. He sort of broke away from him. But the play before that, I think Carrington Valentine, if I remember, I need to look back at the game, but he was playing off 15, 20 yards, if I remember correctly, and a guy caught the ball somewhat in front of him. And, it's just tough to see the defense not be able to get that stop there at the end. But still, I think if the offense would have played better, played like they had the last couple weeks, we wouldn't have needed the defense to come in there and make a big-time stop near the end of the game. And so, all around, it's just sort of unfortunate to see the Packers go back to playing like this when they've been playing so good the past couple weeks. And so now the question is, going forward the next few weeks, now with the Packers at 6-7, we had a chance to be 7-6 there, sitting at the 7th seed, which we may still be the 7th seed. I'll need to check that after the game. But now the question is, what Packers team are we going to get when they play the rest of the season? Because we see here that, against a team that is no match for, I think, the Chiefs, the Lions, a team that is nowhere near the talent or caliber of those two teams the Packers beat the past 2 weeks. How do you come in and play a game like this? Lack of energy, a lack of, just smart football. I haven't even touched on the, dropped punt by Keyshawn Nixon, missed field goal by Anders Carlson, just tons of sloppy play on special teams. And you just do wonder, which Packers team will you get going forward? Because we've seen the ceiling. We've seen how well they can play when they're, really just firing on all cylinders. Because last week, it was the Packers' offense was balling out, and it wasn't like it was against a bad defense. It was one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Giants this week came in. They're ranked somewhere in the mid-20s when it came to scoring defenses. And so you would have expected, okay, the Packers' offense can move the ball against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And yet here against New York, a bottom tier defense, the Packers look like they can't do a thing. They look like they haven't played football in a month, and somehow just lost all the juice they had last week, the way they played. And I do really wonder if it's a thing where they like playing as the underdog, but when they're heavy favorites, they sort of are, just have a different mindset, different mentality. I'm not sure. Hopefully they can learn from this so that we don't see a repeat of this, because before this game, looking at the final stretch of their games, you would have said, okay, it seems like a somewhat easy final schedule based on teams' records. Most of the teams had losing records, and you would assume, well, the Packers beat the Lions, beat the Chiefs, two really good teams. We should be able to handle these other teams, and tonight, that wasn't the case. So the Packers need to clean things up. The Packers' offense needs to get going again. Jordan Love, luckily Jordan Love came in there, played well, final series, gets the Packers the go-ahead touchdown. So I think we've seen time and time again that in big moments, Jordan Love has the ability to do this, to put up, score a touchdown when he needs to. It hasn't happened every time, but there's been, I mean, at least what, 3 or 4 games where it's happened now. So at least you like to see that, where in big moments he doesn't crumble. He's able to typically at most times come in clutch near the end, which I feel like is one of the most important things in your quarterback. But still, this was a game the Packers should have won, a game that if they had played like they had last week, they easily would have won. So lots of things to clean up. And if the Packers want to have a chance here to actually make the playoffs, they cannot play a football game again like they did tonight, because if they play like this the rest of the season, you can kiss the playoffs goodbye. But those are my thoughts on this game. I will be out with more videos tomorrow throughout the week breaking down other things about the Packers. So feel free to subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you don't miss any content, any Packers news. Feel free to comment your thoughts down below, what you think about this game, and I'll see you guys next time.